So sticking with the website, when I went on and had a quick look, one of the things that I was really impressed with is your grasp of your role. And it is somewhat unique in some of the CDOs that I've been chatting with because you tend to say, I'm a background facilitator. I'm not the face of it. And I'd like to maybe sort of give you a chance to talk to that. So what do you mean that when you talk about it's all about connecting, managing data assets? I'm more of a background, in the connection. Maybe you can talk to the community on that.
Absolutely. It's kind of like a system administrator or a network administrator. You don't think about them until something goes wrong, right? And then you want to find out, like, your network's down. Go find the network administrator and find out why is the network down. But when the network is operating fantastically, nobody cares, right? Nobody thinks about the poor network administrator. And that's the same thing for data, right? Data, in all intents and purposes, is getting a lot of attention right now, rightfully so, because it is what I call the currency of the digital economy, right? It's what makes things go. But it really should be something that runs flawlessly within the organization. And it shouldn't be a big deal that we're leveraging data as an asset, right? And I think that's the key. It should be so common in organizations to leverage their data assets to make the most informed, actionable decisions possible, that it really should not be a big deal. But it is, because we haven't been able to do that consistently and effectively for a very long time. And ultimately, what I envision my role to be is exactly that, is just be in the background, making sure that things are running smoothly, all the data connections are made, all of the intelligence being derived and delivered to the right people at the right time to make the right decisions, and then just let that operate, right? Let it run. Right now, obviously, we are in the foreground because there's a lot of decisions that need to be made. We have the COVID-19 pandemic. We still have the opioid epidemic that we're dealing with. We now have, we have civil unrest, we have injustice in society, we have natural disasters, hurricanes hitting our shorelines. Like, there's a lot of things happening, and there's a lot of decisions that need to be made across all levels of different organizations. And so how do we leverage our data assets to make those decisions as data-driven, as informed as possible?
So perhaps maybe you can spend a minute to sort of outline what some of the challenges you've had in overcoming this, the leveraging data as an asset. Because I'm sure when you walked in 2 years ago, it was probably a little bit of a mess. And so if you can talk to some of the challenges that you've had to overcome in addressing the journey, because I would say it's a journey you're on. I'm not sure you're at your end point yet, but you're probably still addressing some of the challenges. But maybe you can talk to the challenges that you've had so far, and maybe what you think is coming down the pipe that you have to address.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had a lot of challenges, and all organizations are going to have similar challenges because we all kind of suffer some of the same ills. But I do have to say that, previous to me coming on board, there was a long line of people pushing this boulder up the hill, right? I am not the only one that has been shouldering this thing. It was almost over the top by the time I showed up, and I just kind of tipped it over, and it started building up momentum on its own. But really, there were a lot of folks that were very engaged in this arena, trying to make data what it is right now. And I think really what the Commonwealth needed, and what I think they understood, is that you had to have a leader that was accountable and responsible for this particular aspect of the mission, right? And in so doing, then they've now put, someone in this position who now everyone can point to and say, if we do well or we fail, it's your fault, right?
Right.
Good or bad, it's your fault. And I think that's important, because leadership matters, right? And being able to lead a variety of different people towards the same goal is absolutely critical to being able to be successful. And so you asked me, what is the most significant challenge? And I say it's people. Technology to me is extremely easy. We have all the different tools and techniques and methodologies we could possibly want. Obviously, more are being created every single day. So from a technology standpoint, we have our pick of the litter, right? We can pretty much pick and choose whatever we want. And whatever it is, if we do it effectively, it'll work, right? And whether it'll work 100% perfect, or there'll be some nuances, but it'll work. Processes, we know we're always engineering processes all the time, right? Things change. and you have to adapt, improvise, adapt, and overcome. But the last part of that, the part that is the most difficult to deal with, is the people aspect. And that's where relationship building is absolutely critical, building respect and trust through integrity, being able to communicate, collaborate, and cooperate, those things, those skills, which unfortunately those of us who are locked away in the closet building algorithms don't always get a chance to develop. And it's one of those things that I truly try to inspire folks to just build up your people skills, because the only way to be effective is to lead, and the only way to lead is to be able to build those relationships and get people to follow you, not because they report to you, because they respect and trust you, and that's critical.
It's bang on, 100% spot on, right?